And now that the recording is in progress, we are going to watch a recording as we get started, which is going to be coming from an artist collective called Led by Donkeys, showing us clothes representing every child that was killed in Gaza since the October 7th war began. It's a very harrowing piece. As you can see, these are clothes representing the children. There won't be any graphic images of children, and these aren't necessarily the clothes that the children were wearing. But this is items of clothing representing every child that has been killed in Gaza in the last 6 months. It's interesting timing for us Jewishly in that this war actually began on the day that we on Shmini Atzeret, on the day that in the traditional calendar we begin prayers for rain, and we are now at the time where we end saying prayers for rain, and so just as in our liturgical calendar we hope for an end to rain, we are also hoping with every ounce of our beings for an end to the reign of bombs and violence that is ongoing against Gaza. Thank you for taking time to watch. That was a tribute to all of those children who have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, made by an artist collective called Led by Donkeys. It is very difficult a lot of the time to picture the amount of loss and the scale of destruction that has been invoked, especially since this war began, but against the Palestinians for a considerable amount of time. At this time, it is traditional at a Pesach Seder to begin with tears, to look at the salt water and remember the suffering that our ancestors experienced in Egypt, and we dip karpas, parsley, in the in salt water as a way to remember all those tears. And as we go through, I'm going to ask now, with the symbols that come up for Pesach, what they represent to you this year. So what is the salt water representing for you this year? What are your tears this year? If you'd like to speak, just I know there's a great many of us, but if you could raise your hand using the function, then I'll call on you. Go ahead, Rona, please tell us what are your tears? What is your salt water for this year?
I think for this year, without question, my salt water is for the needless, well, mindless, needless suffering of those children in Gaza, and for victims of genocides around the world, and for also for the people who are going to be deported to Rwanda very soon. So for victims of cruelty everywhere, I suppose, the souls of people who are victims of cruelty.
Thank you, Rona. Does anybody else want to share what is their salt water? What is their tears this year? Leah, please go ahead.
Well, in addition to what Rona has said, I think we would all share that. The sleepless nights as well that come with it. The feelings of inadequacy and frustration, and yeah, just bewilderment that there are so many who still carry on believing the myths about, even people saying that Palestinians are attacking Israelis, and the other myth, which let's not go into tonight too much, the myth that all Jews support Israel and everything it's doing, and the development. So yes, there's just a desperate sadness and a feeling, that we're going backwards on so many things, not just Israel Palestine. Thanks, Lev.
Thank you, Leah. And now I'd like to say our next item on the Seder plate is zroa. Zroa is the sacrificial lamb, the bone of the sacrificial lamb, and it represents sacrifice. We think of sacrifice today in Rabbinic Judaism not as the physical sacrifice as animals, but as the sacrifices that people make in their own lives, with their own time, with their own good deeds. And so I wonder, is there anybody who is particularly on your mind who has made sacrifices? Anybody that you are specifically thinking about? I am certainly thinking about all those currently trying to do underground railroad work out of Gaza, and all of those who are trying to do protective presence work in the West Bank. Does anybody have anyone they would like to talk about it? Go ahead, Sarah, please share. Who are you thinking of? You need to unmute yourself, I'm afraid.
The doctors, the medics that go and work in Gaza in the hospitals, and all the healthcare professionals there, and all the aid workers and journalists, try and get word out to the world about what's going on.
Thank you. Sandy, do you want to share anyone that you're thinking about?
Yes, I'm thinking of the aid worker in the food truck, Jacob Flinkinger. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his family name. I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and he was from Quebec. So he was a local for us, and there was a special tribute to him on some of our local television shows and whatnot. So it's amazing what he did in terms of the sacrifice he made.
Thank you. Linda.
Hi, I'm thinking of all of those brave volunteers. It's making me cry now. all of those brave volunteers that put themselves out every single day to try and save lives. And sometimes they must feel it's so futile, but they keep going. Their bravery is heroic. So I think of them.
Thank you, Linda. And I think it's wonderful that you're bringing those tears, because actually with the next item that we're going to discuss, the mitzvah, the commandment, is that you should eat as much that you feel like you're going to cry. And that is maror, the bitter herbs, often horseradish on many of our Seder plates, or lettuce. And so would anybody like to share what is giving them bitterness at this time? Oh, Mike, you've got your hand raised.
I was going to say, of course, Gaza is on our mind, but it's not only Gaza. I'm thinking of the people from Care to Calais and the other workers who are confronting really difficult things from the British and French police to stop people suffering when they're trying to find sanctuary.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else want to share things that are bringing them bitterness, things that are hardships that they're thinking of? Go ahead, Ymir.
I think that the last 3 weeks there's been quite significant far-right protests and launches. I was personally there witnessing a banner unraveling of Turning Point UK and very Charlottesville-esque chanting. And it's quite worrying that the left don't seem to be really responding to this, and it's happening every single week, and that they're growing in numbers. That's bringing me bitterness.
Thank you, Ymir. M. Greenwood, you have your hand raised. Would you like to share what's on your mind?
It's Miriam, actually. I feel very, very bitter about the UK government that must know that international law is being broken, has been broken for the last 6 months in a most obvious fashion, and yet it refuses to stop arming Israel, so that all this destruction that's going on is on our heads as well. It makes us all, as British citizens, complicit. And of course, government most of all.
Thank you, Miriam. And I will keep it going just because we've got such limited time. So I'm sorry if people don't get a chance to talk. Our story begins with shame and ends with joy. And so on our plates, we also turn next to the items that bring us joy. One of which is the beitza, the hard-boiled egg, which represents new life, new opportunities, the coming of spring. What are the signs of hope and new life that you can see? Does anybody want to share signs of hope and new life that they are seeing? Thank you, Beth. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm in the United States, and the number of protests in the United States and around the world, but especially here, especially of young Jews who are coming out publicly as young Jews to oppose the policies of Israel and oppose the destruction of the people of Gaza. So it brings me joy to see this new generation of young activists who take the freedom message for all and not only for Jews. So thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Naomi. You need to unmute yourself, please, Naomi.
That's what I was trying to do, Lev. Lovely to see you.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two Naomis, both with hand raised. I'm so sorry. Naomi,
I'll go away.
Oh, okay. Then Naomi Wimborne Idrissi, you go ahead.
Hi, the other Naomi. We call each other to the Naomi, don't we, Naomi? It's so often. Yeah, following on from what Beth just said. Yes, I feel very inspired by the younger people, including Lev and many others, but not only the actions of these younger Jews, but the wonderful response that they get, and we get as well, of course, but that they get from the demonstrators on those massive on the massive protests. And I've had further evidence of that today, talking to someone in Leeds, where, as you know, there's been a big disputation about the reaction from students to the rabbi who went and served in the IDF and then came back and performed as a chaplain. So talking to people from the local Palestine Solidarity campaign, so overwhelmingly delighted to see young Jews in particular taking up the issue of justice for Palestine.
Thank you, Naomi. Rika.
Yes, thank you, Lev. For me, a huge sign of hope is just how international the resistance is from many, many countries. And I think it was demonstrated. I mean, the South Africans kicked it off by taking a case to the International Court of Justice. And then what would be thought of as a relatively small country, Nicaragua, deciding to take the German government to the ICJ for complicity. And the huge resistance in so many countries in South America, in the Far East, in the southern parts, in Australia, South Africa, and many, many other areas of Europe, North America, where people are coming out in hundreds of thousands, week after week after week after week, saying what we all earnestly want, which is the ceasefire and justice and freedom. And that I find very hopeful, that what we're doing here is part of something much, much bigger. It's worldwide, and that is terrific.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, but I do have to keep going because otherwise we'll be here all night talking. And I promise everyone will get a chance to talk at some point. The next item on our Seder plate is the choroset. Choroset represents the cement, the mortar that built together the bricks. And so I'm asking you, who are the people that you are seeing that are building things? What are the communities, organizations that you see really building together and binding people together in this struggle right now? Go ahead, Rona.
An organization called ACORN. There's Palestine Solidarity. They've been very successfully closing down Elbit Systems, who are the weapons builders for Israel. ACORN are a protesting organization, particularly for housing. I would also just want to make a polite request that if anyone isn't speaking, could they please mute themselves, because I'm hard of hearing and I'm using captions, and when there are 3 or more people who are not muted, the captions start getting distorted and then the sound goes out and then I can't hear what's being said. So just a polite request to anyone who isn't speaking to just please stay on mute until they're speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Rona. And I can see, I don't know if it's Julia or David or both that have their hands raised, but
it's me. Thank you very much, Lev. I wanted to mention mutual aid and people who participate in mutual aid in many different forms, but in my case, a very, very local mutual aid group where our neighbours help each other in a very informal way, just as friends. And our slogan is solidarity, not charity. And that notion of equality, horizontal organising rather than vertical organising, is a principle in my life, and I think it's a really useful principle in everybody's life if you want to mutually support each other. And it is actually a lifeline for many people, and we can all call on it. Sometimes we help somebody else and sometimes they help us. You never know when you're going to need a small helping hand or something bigger done for you, or some advice. And mutual aid is just an incredible concept and an incredible foundation for a community if we put it into practice.
thank you, Julia. And I can see Ian and Pam, maybe both, maybe one or the other. You have your hands raised if you'd like to share.
Thanks. I'd like to put in a word for banality in a way. These are just very ordinary things of today. I went to the dentist. She was very nice. She did good work for me. I went into Sainsbury's. The cashier was very nice. The bus driver stopped when he didn't need to. None of this is out of the ordinary, but that's the point. Let's just take some comfort from the very ordinary things that happen 20 times a day of people being nice to us and us being nice to people.
Thank you, Pam. Wonderful. All right. And then the final item on the traditional Seder plate is, of course, the matzah, which represents the hurry, the fact that we had to leave Egypt in such a great rush to get away from slavery. And so what is bringing you hurry? What can you not wait for? What are the things that you are just desperate to see? What are you hurrying for? Mary is saying peace. Absolutely. I think we can't wait long enough for peace. And justice. Peace that comes with real meaningful justice, not just the absence of war. Which, you know, in Hebrew, the word shalom does not just mean peace in the sense of absence of war. It is completeness. It is resolution. Yes, Joe says, in a hurry for a ceasefire now. Oh my goodness, how long have we been saying it now? Yes, please for a ceasefire. Okay, we will move on then and share some of the modern symbols of the Seder plate, which include orange, which was the first one, for women's leadership and for LGBT inclusion. In years past, people added olives in solidarity with the Palestinians, as a symbol of peace. And this year in particular, people have added the watermelon. Does anybody want to share why are people adding watermelons to their Seders this year? Anybody know? Oh, go ahead, Diana, share with us. You need to unmute yourself, Diana.
Yeah, well, the watermelon is the color of the Palestinian flag. And for many people who've been refused to wear Palestinian colors, they wear the color of the watermelon. People have suddenly discovered, those adversaries have discovered that, in fact, this is the color of the Palestinian flag, but it's symbolic and it's interchangeable.
Thank you very much, Diana. And now on page 7, we are going to call upon Charlotte and Sophie Nelson to light the candles for us and bring in this sacred day for our community.
Can you hear us okay?
We can hear you just fine, thank you.
Who wants to take the candle?
You can do it.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai.
The other candle first.
Oh shoot.
Charlotte, do you want to do it?
It's okay.
Okay. You both say it together now.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kenishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik nei shel Pesach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen.
Amen. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Amen. Thank you, Shkoyach. I think you've not only lit the candles in the room, but lit candles in our hearts. Thank you very much. And now we turn to the first cup of wine on page 8. So everybody, if you have not yet poured a glass, whether it be of grape juice or of wine or whatever else you're drinking, then now's a good opportunity, and Mike Cushman will be saying our blessing for the first cup tonight.
I don't know why I'm always chosen for blessing the wine, but it may say something about my character. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu mehem. Sorry, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Sorry, Berei pri hagofim.
Amen. And if anybody would like to share, what are they toasting to with this first cup of wine? What are people toasting to with this first cup? Well, then I'll take the opportunity to thank the organisers here from British Shalom Salam Trust, Naomi and Mike and all those who have made tonight's Seder possible. I think it's giving a great sense of hope and community to many tonight who really need to feel like we are coming together at this challenging time. Naomi, you've raised your hand.
I thought I'd do something controversial. I want to raise my my glass to the I think he was a sergeant in the Metropolitan Police who dealt with Gideon Falter in a way that was just unimaginably enjoyable to watch. And he stuck to his guns, and he was calm, and he was courteous, and because people were filming, it managed to completely destroy the argument that that area around the demonstration was dangerous for Jews and made Gideon Falter look like a complete idiot, which is, of course, what he is. But I was really impressed with the cop who did it and with his colleagues round about. And I don't often have nice things to say about the police. So when I do, I think we should say them. He did his job and he looked after us all, including dissident Jews. There we are. Didn't expect that one.
I didn't expect that one at all. Thank you, Naomi. Rona is toasting all those who have stood up against oppression. Charlotte, who are you toasting?
I'm toasting my comrades in JVL and JSG and all the other lefty Jewish groups who have worked so hard to make us a presence at the demonstrations and in all the work they do to give solidarity to Palestinian people.
And Tessa, you've got your hand raised too. Who would you like to toast to?
Well, it was really just following on from Naomi, because I also want to give a toast to a couple of policemen, funnily enough. On the last big demo, I was due to meet an old school friend, and she has dementia. And we were meeting in Trafalgar Square. And she's Jewish and she wanted to come on the demo, but she couldn't make the beginning. So we arranged to meet in Trafalgar Square. And after 2 hours, I couldn't find her. And the police just put out all the stops to find her. I won't go into all what happened. It was all very okay at the end, but I thought I'd give them something to do because they looked very bored waiting for the riot that never took place. So.
Thank you. And elevating this comment by Madeline, who's toasting the Gazans who went to enjoy the sea to feel alive. We turn now to the prayer Halach Ma'anya on page 9, which Halach Ma'anya, Diachlu ahavtana ba'arba di Mitzrayim, kol dikfin yit ev yehul. Kol ditzrich yetei v'yipsach hashtahacha lashta deatya ve'arbad Israel hashta ofte lashta deatya b'nei chorin. It's an Aramaic prayer saying, this is the bread of our affliction. And it is a prayer calling on all who are hungry to come and share in eating with us. That takes on a very new significance this year, as we know that starvation is a real risk in Gaza, as we know that many are trying to break the siege, to break the blockade and allow food into Gaza, and that, you know, even those most basic things of humanitarian relief are not being permitted. We turn now to Stephen Fox, who is going to read us the testimony of Reverend Munther Isaac, which you can find in your books on page 10.
Good evening. Reverend Munther Isaac is based in Bethlehem, and many of you will know about him. I'm going to read a recent testimony from him. We are broken. The people of Gaza are suffering. They have lost everything except their dignity. Where are they to go? There is no place for them in this world. What is happening in Gaza is not a war or conflict, but an annihilation. Continuous genocide and ethnic cleansing through death and forced displacement. World political powers are sacrificing the people of Palestine in order to secure their interests in the Middle East. They say our annihilation is needed to keep the people of Israel safe. They offer us as sacrifices on the altar of atonement as we pay the price for their sins with our lives. The people of Gaza today want life. They want a night without bombing. They want medicine and surgical operations with anesthesia. Anesthetics, apologies. They want the simplest of life's necessities, food, clean water and electricity. They want freedom and life with dignity. Those under bombardment, beatings and persecution do not want reconciliation and peace. They want the end of aggression.
Thank you, Stephen. And now we're going to turn to the 4 questions on page 11 in your Haggadahs. You'll notice we're jumping a fair bit. The Haggadah is there for you to read any time, but the important thing is that it's being created by the people that are here. And this bit, Manish Tana, is traditionally read by the youngest person at the Seder. Now, I am constantly impressed by how much younger the Jewish left seems to keep getting. It seems that we have more and more people every year, and they all seem to be getting younger, or perhaps I'm just getting older. But we are welcoming now from London, Dorothy Nelson is going to sing Manish Tana for us.
Manish Tana halayla haza mikol halaylot Shebahol halaylot anu ochen hametumato halayla haza Kula Mata Halala Haza Kula Mata Shebahol Halilat Anu Ochen Sha'ayurakot Halala Haza Maror Halala Haza Maror Shebahol Halilot En Animat Bilen Afilipa Ehat Halala Haza Shatei Pamim Halala Haza Shatei Pamim Shebahol Halilot Anu Ochen Ben Yoshvinu Vein Masubin הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובין. הלילה הזה, הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובין.
Wow, Shkoya. Yes, as Vicky says, the Nesland family are making so many beautiful contributions to this magical gathering. And thank you. That was absolutely wonderful, Dorothy. Would anybody like to add their own questions? You can write them in the chat or raise your hand. What are the extra questions that you are thinking about on this night for asking questions? Rona, go ahead, share what you're thinking.
Yeah, I put in the chat that I just read on Dara Sultana's feed that Cameron has decided to renew our commitment and to send more weapons to Israel. So I guess my question is, all our protesting, all of our efforts, are they all in vain? Will we see any results, any real results from what we've been doing or going on just 4 years? So I guess my question is, are we doomed?
Thank you, Rona. I think I'd want to know as well, when are the people who cheerleaded for this war going to admit what a horrible, horrible atrocity they have committed? What's the difference between Keir Starmer and the Tories, Ian Saville asks. What has happened to the soul of the Labour Party, asks Richard. Okay, well, if that is the end of the questions that we have for now. Oh, one more. When will there be consequences for any of these fascist leaders around the world? How do members of the IDF live with their actions? Oh, Charlotte, go ahead. Tell us what question you're asking.
Why does Israel stick up 2 fingers to the ICJ? It's my
Thank you,
one.
Charlotte. Naomi.
What will it take to break the stranglehold of the Jewish establishment, which has basically terrorized the majority of Jews into believing that the next Holocaust is round the corner?
Thank you, Naomi. Ymir asks, when will people see that electoral politics won't save us? Oh, and Sandy asks, how do we support anti-Zionist Jews in Israel? I think you'll probably hear a little bit about that from the British Shalom Salam Trust fundraising appeal when they come to tell you at least where you can send your money to help those fighting for justice. We now turn to our answer to or a set of answers to all of these questions from Rabbi Brant Rosen at Seder Synagogue in Chicago.
Lev, I'm not sure that Brant has managed to get online. I'm trying to reach him at the moment, but I can't see him in the list of people. So unless Brant is making himself known, he's had a problem getting in online. So we have the poem, but we don't have Brant available at the moment, which is the answer.
Stephen, would you like to read the poem in his stead?
Okay, bearing in mind that I'm not Rabbi Brant, and Rabbi Brant did write the poem, and he was deeply honored to be asked to join us. So it's, I'm sorry he can't join us tonight at this moment in time. So I'm going to read his poem. Your children will ask, why do we observe this festival? And you will answer, it is because of what God did for us when we were set free from the land of Egypt. Your child will ask, were we set free from the land of Egypt that we might hold tightly to the pain of our enslavement with a mighty hand? And you will answer, we were set free from Egypt that we might release our pain by reaching with an outstretched arm to all who struggle for freedom. Your child will ask, were we set free from the land of Egypt because we are God's chosen people? And you will answer, we were set free from the land of Egypt so that we will finally come to learn all who are oppressed are God's chosen. Your child will ask, were we set free from the land of Egypt that we might conquer and settle a land inhabited by others? And you will answer, we were set free from the land of Egypt that we might open wide the doors to proclaim, let all who are dispossessed return home. Let all who wander find welcome at the table. Let all who hunger for liberation come and eat.
Thank you to Stephen, and by association to Rabbi Brandt. We now turn to a special message from a citizen journalist from Gaza who has actually had to seek refuge in Egypt, who wanted to address us here tonight. So this will be a pre-recorded video message. If it is difficult to hear, we apologize, but we felt that hearing his voice this evening was very important.
I am Mahmoud Mushtaq, a Palestinian journalist from Gaza. Firstly, let me wishing you a peaceful, peaceful Seder, wishing freedom and liberation for all our loved Jewish people around the world, for all humanity, and for all Palestinians who are facing and enduring an Israeli siege and Israeli apartheid and Israeli war on Gaza during this time. Also, I would like to thank you for giving me this chance to chat with you, to talk with you, to share with you my experience as a Palestinian born and raised under the Israeli siege in Gaza and facing the last Israeli genocide in Gaza. As a Palestinian born and raised in Gaza during all my life, I need to give you a glimpse or a small glimpse about how life in Gaza looks under the Israeli blockade or under the Israeli siege. 2 millions and half, and you are trapped in a small area in Gaza, and you cannot move outside Gaza. You cannot see you cannot see what is exists outside Gaza. You cannot see how the world or how people outside Gaza think or look. Just you can see Israeli borders around you, and you are trapped in this area. You cannot move, you cannot travel, you don't have the basic right of freedom, and the freedom is not limited to in terms of movement or travel, but also this is the big problem for us as a Palestinians, but also in terms of your dreams, in terms of your future, in terms of your choices. You don't have options in Gaza. You are forced to take what is existed in Gaza and complete your life, because your life is not by your hand. Your life is limited by Israeli forces and by Israeli forces. I need to share with you some example about it, about your the dreams, and this affected me personally until this moment. When I graduated from high school science 5 years ago, I dreamt, and I have a major, and I like this major, and I need to study this major because I see my dreams and my future in this major, and this major has not existed in Gaza, so I have to leave outside Gaza to travel to study this major in any country. The shock is that you can't travel outside Gaza, you can't complete your dreams, you can't choose what you like or what you don't like. You have to take what exists in Gaza and complete your life. So I was forced to stay in Gaza because I have an option to stay or to leave, because I can't leave at this time. So I stayed in Gaza and study my baccalaureate degree in Gaza. So this in terms of dreams for young people or for youth in Gaza. Imagine this: how you have a dreams and you have futures, but this is limited by Israeli forces, because the Israeli forces control the borders, and they close the borders, and this time because they didn't need any.
I think we all appreciate how meaningful it was that he recorded that for us, and really value that.
هنا في المشافي في قطاع غزة بالفعل شيء يدمي القلب وشيء يعني يفطر القلب ألما على هذه المشاهد وعلى هذه الجرائم.
وفاة مراسل قناة فلسطين محمد أبو حطب.
استشهاد المصور الصحفي سامر أبو دقة.
الصحفي هو المعد نافذ عبد الجواد ونجله الوحيد.
استشهاد الزميلة الصحفية سلام ميمة.
اغتيال الصحفي حمزة وائل الدحدوح.
إننا هنا ضحايا شهداء مع فرق التوقيت فقط. نحن نمضي واحدا تلو الآخر.
وكيف رح تخلص هاي الحرب؟ مين رح يضل يحكي للناس شو صار فينا، شو احنا عشنا، شو شفنا؟
Yes, good question from Marcy. Can you share the links so that people can watch them again afterwards? I think it was quite difficult to watch that one. So if you could share the links again for the attendees, I know people would greatly appreciate that.
It's a bit difficult because they're on my computer rather than on the web.
Oh, I see.
I'll do my best, but that's why we'd like to put the whole video, the whole Seder up later so people can view any bits they like.
That makes a lot of sense. Shall we now turn to the staff and volunteers of the Palestine Trauma Centre to find out about their ongoing work, which you can also read about on page 14 of your Haggadot.
فلسطين يصدموا بالغرب.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciated seeing this this video, and tells us about the work that we're looking to fund this evening. Our next thing that we're going to watch will be the song "We Are the Dreams," a song for Gaza written by Adam Gottlieb and sung by his reggae fusion band One Love. You can see the words to it on page 15 with the Hebrew and the English alongside each other. Please do listen and enjoy.
The seeds they planted in their best works. We are the meek inheriting the treasure that was always ours. Heaven on earth forever. We won't just watch a genocide. No, we won't just idly stand by. No, we'll show up, spirit standing high and ready for time for just and right. We are the ones the prophecies foretold. We are the ones that their borders cannot hold. We are the breathing incarnations of those precious souls from our days of old. We will not fold. May the one who brings peace in heaven bring us peace on earth. Our broken people, peace to the world, and we say Amen. Oh, say Shalom in Roma, Buya Ase. Oh, say Shalom in Roma, Buya Ase. Shalom Aleinu Be'Ato Yisrael Be'Yishmael Be'Ato Yoshvei Tevel B'Ru Amen. Bring us peace on earth. Oh, peace to our broken people, peace to the world, and we say Amen. Oh, say Shalom in Roma, Buya Ase. Oh, say Shalom in Roma, Buya Ase. Shalom Aleinu Be'Ato Yisrael Be'Yishmael Be'Ato.
And now, Mike, will you please read us the blessing for the second cup of wine? Everybody fill your glasses if you haven't already. Take the time to have some more grape juice wine or an extra sip of tea, whatever you're drinking this evening. And Mike, will you bless it for us?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam barei pri hagofen.
Amen. Let's go now to our first celebrity guest, who is Maxine Peake, famously a diamond, and she is going to be doing for us a poem from Nadine Mutaja of the Gaza Poets Society. Mike, we can't hear the sound, we can only see the picture. You need to click to share sound as well as picture.
This poem is by Nadine Mutaja, a member of the Gaza Poets Society. Nadine had been studying dentistry, but her university, like all in Gaza, has now been destroyed. Nadine now has no alternative but to be a poet. There, on the other side, time changes, hours pass, and it gets darker. The sky takes off its dim dress, then the morning arrives. But here, where I live and breathe, life wears its black dress constantly, to mourn the labour of my land, which took a long time. Here, the hanging clock in my room is broken. Not only this one, everyone's clock is broken here. My mother keeps saying everyone is waiting for the elixir. We've had it with the grief and agony. In this holy land, we sleep and wake up on the sound of bombing and shooting. So the first light of day rises in the evening, lighting up the sky with the blood of martyrs. Here, death sleeps not far from us. We all walk towards freedom, towards hope. We walk on stones that were once a house, carrying stories and secrets. We walk with the screams of children and the groans of mothers pulsating over and over in our ears.
Beautiful poem there, read by Maxine Peake. And if one celebrity this evening wasn't enough for you, how about we turn to our second one, somebody who I think has been a signatory to Jews for Justice for Palestinians for the longest time, and a true national treasure, the person who's now going to ask you to open up your wallets and write out your checks and donate via the link that you're going to see in the chat. That person is the most wonderful comedian and actress, Miriam Margolyes.
Hello, I'm Miriam Margolyes, and I'm here to separate you from your money. This is an appeal from the British Shalom Salam Trust, and I'm reading it because I didn't have time to learn it. I hope you understand. A Seder is a celebration of food, tradition, and freedom. I'm sure some of you may be wondering what on earth we're doing holding a Seder when so many Palestinians in Gaza are starving, when Palestinians in the West Bank are being so terrorized by settlers that they daren't leave home to buy provisions. This Seder has been organised by the British Shalom Salam Trust. It's a tiny Jewish charity. I'm proud to be its patron. The trust, which supports about 40 groups, 9 in Gaza, tells me that earlier this year their hope faltered and they nearly decided it was not a year for a Seder. And then they realised this is exactly the time to make food central. So we all sit at our dinner tables talking about food, knowing we'll be eating too much, and remembering that over 2 million Palestinians are relying on animal feed, the occasional apple, between an entire family, and some weeds. This is exactly the time we should remember tradition and think about those 2 million Palestinians who've seen their lives, environment, culture, everything that makes them who they are, torn to shreds. And most of all, this is exactly the time to celebrate freedom and to stand alongside Palestinians who are still demanding that liberation be theirs. This appeal is for the brilliant grassroots projects in Gaza and the West Bank that the British Shalom Salam Trust supports. Community groups like FADE, where the last letter of the name stands for environment, and which teaches its children how to care for and cherish the world around them, like Al-Nur in central Gaza, which is the first port of call from refugees for the north, who are desperate for some sustenance, a blanket, a tent, like the Palestinian Trauma Center, which works on the streets of Gaza, providing joy to every child it meets and specialist trauma support to those who are struggling the most. Tonight, I'm asking you to support the people on the ground who need us, mostly in Gaza, but also in some of the most vulnerable and isolated communities on the West Bank. They need everything you can afford, and then some. My appeal is for their lives, their struggles, their achievement, and their dreams of equality, democracy, and equal human rights, a future without fear, humiliation, and oppression. Our little Jewish charity has no staff, no premises. This means 100% of your donations tonight will get passed on to Palestinians in unimaginable need. For them, our support, your support, is priceless. To make a payment, just go to the link we provide in the Haggadah that you've been following. I am deeply grateful for anything that you can afford, anything. People's lives are at risk, and the highest Jewish commandment must be to save a life. Please help us to do just that, and thank you with all my heart.
Thank you very much to Miriam Margolyes, and thank you to all of those of you who have already made your donations. Now, yes, you can donate from the United States, but please remember that for the conversion rate, you must add another 0 on the end of your donation.
Both Lev and I have put the link in the chat, so you can do it twice.
Okay, so we have now heard the financial appeal. I'm sure that you are all doing your donations now if you haven't already. If you have donated £1 and that's what you can afford, that would be enough. And if you've donated £100, that would be enough. And now together we are going to sing "It Would Have Been Enough." If you turn to page 21 in your Haggadot, we're going to all try singing it together. Why not? Let's have, I think what every Seder really needs is a moment of absolute, abject chaos. And this is going to be that moment for all of us. So take yourselves off mute.
Your numbering has gone wrong somehow. It's actually page 20.
I'm sorry, page 20.
Oh,
Oh, I thought it was 21 in mine. All right then. All right, whether you're on page 20 or 21, it's still Dayenu, it's still enough. Please join us in singing along. And let's make it as chaotic and wild as possible, with all overlapping voices. If you are worried that you will be out of tune, don't worry, so will I. Ilu, ilu, Hosianu, Hosianu, Mitzrayim below Hasabahem Shabatzim, Hayenu. Ilu, ilu, Hasabahem Shabatzim below Hasalohim, Hayenu. We're on page 23. We're going to do Birkat Hamazon. Or 22, depending on which your version is. I think mine seems to be a page ahead of everybody else's, but on page 23, we'll do Birkat Hamazon, thanking God for the food that we have received. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hazan et haolam kulo betuvo, bechen bechesed uvrachamim. Hu noten lechem lechol basar, ki leolam chasto. ובטובו הגדול, תמיד לא חסר לנו והלך לנו מזון לעולם ועד, בעבור שמו הגדול, כי הוא זן ומפנס לכל, ומיטיב לכל ומכין מזון לכל בריאותיו אשר ברא, ברוך אתה אדוני, הזן את הכל. Thank you, Gail, for joining in. That was wonderful.
While I'm unmuted, I was late because it's morning here and it's a work day, and I'm from Canada. So, hello from Canada.
Welcome, Canada.
Welcome. You're very, very welcome from Canada. Lovely to see you here this evening, or morning for you.
Morning.
And we turn now to our third glass of wine. So please fill up your glasses with wine, with grape juice, with Coca-Cola, probably not, I don't know, whatever you're having this evening. Personally, I have this wine called Bartanura, which is an Italian kosher for Pesach wine. Very much recommend it. It's one of the only ones that actually tastes very nice. Mike, would you do the blessing for us?
Okay, I'm feeling a bit greedy because I'm drinking wine, but I'm not giving any to Elijah. I mean, it's always my thought that Elijah never drank the wine because it was that horrible Palwin stuff that I real hated. But since I've got a decent Rioja, I thought he might come. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, barei pri hagofim.
Amen. Shkoyach. And now it is traditional that as the Seder comes to an end, we sing songs of the season, songs of the festival. And tonight we have a very, very special singer joining us. Your final celebrity guest this evening is the voice of an angel, Charlotte Church, singing We Shall Overcome. And as she sings, let us remember to hold on to hope that ultimately we shall overcome.
And I'm really happy to be here digitally to join you for your Seder for Gaza, and thank you to the British Shalom Salam Trust for putting on this event. I support the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine because I feel it's the right thing to do. I've been so moved by the love and the strength, and of course also the horrendous suffering that we have been witnessing from the people of Palestine and in Gaza. And I want to do everything that I can in order to call for a different way, a better way of being, a better way of treating each other. I do believe that a different way is possible, and I am with you in solidarity, brothers and sisters, to see to that happening. So I would love to sing a little song for you called "We Shall Overcome." I'm sure many of you know it, and please feel free to sing along with me. The first verse is "We shall overcome." The second verse is "We shall live in peace." The third verse is "We are not afraid." And the fourth verse is "We'll walk hand in hand." So I'll give you just a little prompt at the start of each verse, and please join me if you feel to. So the first line is "We shall overcome." We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for being at this event and for your love and support for the Palestinian people. And thank you for singing with me today. And remember that singing is always a way in which to raise our hearts. And so I hope you have a wonderful event, and much love to you and yours.
With great thanks there to Charlotte Church for that very, very moving song. We turn now to our final cup, and with the final cup, we do indeed welcome in Elijah, and we hope for the coming of the messianic age in which peace will finally reign, in which we will finally see the freedom for which we have worked, in which all people everywhere will finally get to experience justice. Mike, if you can raise your glass and toast us to the 4th cup of wine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, barei pri hagofen.
Amen. We say to everybody, L'shana haba be'olam b'nuya. May we see next year in a world rebuilt. May we all finally get to see this world redeemed. Mo'adim l'simcha. May these be seasons of joy. Good night, everyone.